www.DESIblitz.com.
Hello, I'm Arti Halai. For news, gossip and Gupshup, check out DESIblitz.com. Government ministers are launching an investigation into soaring charges drivers face to use the components. The Tilly, the Daga, and of course, political editor Peter Hayes is there. Peter, can it really be business as usual? In the last few minutes, this year's Oscar nominations have been announced in Hollywood. The British film Atonement, which was part filmed at Stokesay Court. I didn't do a media studies degree. In fact, I had no interest in the media until my final year at university, when I became involved at the radio station at Sussex University. And I think that's where I really became interested in the media, because all of a sudden I found it interesting, I found it fascinating, and by the time I was ready to graduate, I knew that was the career I wanted. But I was also conscious of the fact that I didn't really know any Asians in the industry, and I certainly didn't know many Asian girls who had ventured. So I think it was that challenge with the excitement, and that was the dynamic that got me really glued to a career in the media. Victoria, what actually happened?
You've been a presenter, producer and a reporter. Which one do you enjoy the most?
I think all the roles offer very different things. So I remember when I was a reporter going out on the road to get the story, and there you're really at the beating heart of the action. So I think your creativity comes to the forefront. I think that's where you meet people, and that's what I loved about being the reporter. It wasn't my favourite because I have a poor sense of direction. So then I tried my hand at producing. And when you're producing, you are setting the day's agenda. You are looking at what treatment you might give to a different story if you're doing a news bulletin. You're looking at what would be relevant for your audience. And you're also looking at team dynamics in a newsroom. And that worked fine. But what I really loved was presenting. And presenting is where you are really communicating and connecting with your viewers. I also think as a presenter, I was certainly conscious that it was a very privileged role, and I was really honoured to be doing it at ITV. So I knew that I wanted to lend that profile, not just to what I was doing in terms of the news, but also to the wider community.
It was perhaps the privatisation of the 80s that first sparked many people's interest in the stock markets. Today, the internet has made the process of buying and selling shares fast and easy.
How difficult is it for a British Asian to be recognised in the media industry, particularly in presenting and reporting?
I think that's quite a broad question. I think we've seen a lot of movement ahead when it comes to British Asians in the media industry. I think when I started out, you really didn't see any or hardly any Asian or ethnic minority faces unless they were in particular programs that were specifically made for that community. The reality in today's day and age is there has been a shift. So now on any news channel, I'm seeing a lot of Asian reporters, ethnic minority presenters, disabled reporters, and I think that's a move in the right direction. Where we're falling a little bit flat is in other genres. So whilst news and current affairs has adopted that and it's working very, very nicely, it's not working as well in the entertainment genres. It's not working as well in the daytime genres. I'm not seeing ethnic minorities or British Asians in those areas at all, and I think a lot more work needs to be done there.
Have you come across any stigma because of your ethnicity?
I don't think I have. I think maybe other people might see it differently, because I certainly started at an Asian radio station. When I went to work for the BBC, again, it was in the Asian Programs Unit. When I worked for ITV, I worked primarily creating programs and looking at issues affecting the Midlands Asian community. So I worked on Spotlight Asia and Asian Eye before I broke into the mainstream. So maybe there was something there, but I never saw it as a stigma, and I never look at it even now as that.
What's the key to being a successful presenter?
The key to being a successful presenter is, I think, really always looking to get the best out of the person you're interviewing. So it's all about really building brilliant rapport with that person. It's listening to what they say, and it's really about a conversation. If you can get those three things right, I think, it makes you a very powerful presenter.
What made you leave the industry in 2008?
Well, in December 2008, I got a nasty shock because I was made redundant. And, the honest truth is nobody likes to be told they're being made redundant because you never feel that you made the choice. But I was part-time at that moment in time, and I was doing 2 days a week. So I had already branched out. I had a lot of other outside interests of the media, and everything happens for the right reason. I strongly believe that. There's a little foot pedal that operates this potter's wheel. It's like a car accelerator. You can either go very fast or very slow.
Okay, a bit faster than that.
Right.
And you squeeze the clay carefully between your hands.
I quite like my...
It's a little bit too much pressure, that. It's quite a light.
We've got to start again. I was always meeting very different people through my role as a presenter in television. I was always interviewing people, and I was really fascinated in people's stories. Why were some people incredibly successful and others not as successful, or hadn't quite got that same chemistry or the characteristics? And that really led me to my interest in human psychology. Positivity came about because primarily my husband kept saying to me, you've got all this knowledge and you've got all these skills, and why don't you write about it? And when I was made redundant, I decided that I was then going to focus on business. And one of the things I knew that would set me apart in that sector, in that training sector, that specialist sector, and make me the expert, was writing the book. And it's not just that it's written from the heart, but the book was because I knew that it would help me build my profile and it would help my business as well. And that's why the book was really written.
Forget about buying a lottery ticket. It seems like the quickest way to make $1 million or even tens of millions these days is to set up your own company on the internet. So what's involved? And can anybody really do it?
The reason I ventured into business was because I then took a step back and thought, I've got all this experience, I've got all this knowledge in communication, and I want to be able to share that with other people. The Fleet Street Group is all about helping businesses to tap into the power of communications. So whether it's through branding and logo design and website and creativity, or whether it's actually because we'll do the PR for you because we understand the media, or whether it's because actually, we'll come in and we'll teach you the skills about how to deal with the media, what to do in a crisis, how to improve your presentation skills so that actually you can take center stage at a conference or at a seminar and raise your business's profile in that way. And that's what the Fleet Street Group does. Our plans are like any good business would have. We are looking for continuous growth. We are on a serious trajectory growth at the moment. We're 4 years in as a group, and we are looking to really build on what we're doing. So whether that's through our creative design agency Grin, whether that's through our PR operation Fleet Street Communications, whether that's through Fleet Street Training, we are looking to build more awareness. We are looking for new clients all the time, and we are looking to give maximum value in what we do.
Your work takes you abroad. Can you tell us about some of the work that you're doing?
I'll give you an example of some of the work I do for Al Jazeera. So I do a lot of work in Qatar, and for Al Jazeera I primarily go as their expert on TV presentation courses. So I design and I deliver courses, 5, 6, 7-day courses on all about the skills that you need to be a brilliant TV presenter. And that is everything from not just image and look, but working effectively in a team. That is all about writing properly your links. That is all about building rapport. It's the spectrum, it's everything. And it's also about sort of, all the work in terms of the reputation that sits on your shoulders as a presenter and how to build and enhance that.
What advice would you offer young British Asians who wish to pursue a career in media?
I have to say, you know what, just go for it. It doesn't matter what you want to do, whether it's media, whether it's law, whether it's travel, it doesn't matter. I just think, you know what, you really have to want it badly enough. So number one, you've got to really be focused. Your route is never going to be A to B. You'll always be sidetracked. There'll always be different things going on. My route certainly was. But I never lost sight of what I wanted to do. So I think you've got to be focused. You've got to be determined. So you know what? For every one position, you know there are hundreds of people who want it. So what's going to set you apart? Determination and persistence and consistency. And I think you have to be passionate about it. You have to really love it.
What are your top 5 business tips?
Okay, top 5 business tips. Number one, I would say you have to be passionate. I once did a seminar at a college called How to Never Work a Day in Your Life. You know something, it was packed out, because actually the reality is if you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. So number one, I think you really have to want to do it, and you have to be passionate and excited about it. Number two, I think, is clarity. You have to be crystal clear on what service you are offering, what product you are making, what value you are going to bring to the customer or the consumer. And clarity is also about simplicity. I think the best things in life are really simple. If you can't explain what your idea is or what your service is or does in a couple of sentences, no one's going to get it. So I think clarity has to be number 2 on the list. Number 3, financials. You really need to know, especially if you're a startup business, about startup costs, the value of how much money you're going to put into this business, when you're going to start billing. Because the reality is, if you can't run your business on a shoestring when you start, you're not going to be able to run it when it becomes $1 million business or £1 million business. Number 4, I think preparation. You've got to be prepared for anything. And preparation is, you know what, doing the hard graft, putting the hours in, doing the research, and always trying to be one step ahead in the game. So that's what I mean by good preparation. And last but by no means least, I have to say, you know what, get to the person right at the top, go to the decision maker. For any business, there are numerous different people, and I'm not saying anybody's role isn't important. It is. But if you want to grow your business and you want to do it quickly, you want to go to the person at the top. Because if they're not in charge of that department, they're certainly going to put you in touch with the person that is.
3:15. Until then, goodbye.